I'm curious, you being in the United Kingdom, I do listen to a ton of podcasts that are about Formula One. I love Formula One. Obviously, that is mostly based out of the United Kingdom. They tend to mention vegan diets quite a bit as like associated with health. It's just like not their main thing. Obviously, they're talking about car racing, but they bring it up a lot. It seems like the push is pretty strong in the United Kingdom. Would you say that's true?
It is. It is. I remember when my daughter turned 16, she got an email from the BBC and they said, consider going vegan and all this kind of nonsense. They sometimes have people going into schools and saying, for the environment, I want you to stop eating meat or reduce how much meat you eat, all this kind of stuff. But luckily, if you speak to your children enough about how important it is, then they can actually be that voice, the one that stands up and says, actually, it's normally mine that do it, stand up and say, no, meat's really important and, all that kind of stuff. So they're really trying with the next generation. And, sometimes it is working. But then what happens is these people that with every faith in the diet that start it, then eventually their health suffers. And then they have to face the issues with veganism. And then, the next thing is they have to become ex-vegan. But that can be really mentally challenging for someone because for so many, however many years they've been doing it, if they've lasted years, they can really condition themselves. And it's almost kind of cult-like with the vegan diet. So they condition themselves to say it's the most awful thing. And, from every different angle, for the environment, for the animals, and for health. So once they've conditioned themselves so much, I mean, some of them, they're crying when they're eating an egg or something for the first time, but then the egg makes them feel so much better. But it's still a really, really hard mental struggle. And I know Shawn Baker started up a Facebook group to help people with that.
Mm.
I can't remember what it's called now, Restoration for Vegan and Vegetarians, something along those lines. So that's a really good one, actually. It's quite eye-opening to see all these ex-vegans that really struggled mentally just to eat something from an animal because they've had so many years of conditioning. And they might have gone and protested and, when they stand with the TVs and things, and they really believe it. So at the time, they're fighting for what they really think is real. And then obviously that's all completely shattered when they realize actually every single part of it is actually just a big lie and it's just really cherry picked. And there's a lot of funding behind it because vegan foods, they can take cheap produce and mark it up just because it's called vegan. Now I go into the shops before, if you saw things that were fake leather, it would be considered they're going to be really cheap. Well, they put a vegan stamp on it now and they can sell them for a bit more, which is just crazy. So yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, when I was looking into supplements before, I was looking for a good source of magnesium glycinate. And unfortunately now it's really hard. I haven't managed to find one in a gelatin capsule anymore. They're all vegan friendly,
Wow.
which is there's a gap in the market if anyone's listening. Start making the gelatin ones again, because then at least you get a bit of nutrients from the gelatin as well.
Mm, yeah, no, that's such a good point. I really appreciate that. And I really like your opinion on some of that stuff. I definitely want to go back and hear your personal story. How, as we said in the introduction, you ended up accidentally finding carnivore. How did that come about? What was your health like through your 20s and 30s before you eventually found a carnivore diet?
So in my 20s and 30s, I was always considered a really healthy person. I was fit and slim. I was going to the gym all the time. I had everyone wanting to come to the gym with me because I was the one that worked out the hardest and things. I started doing juice detoxes, and I don't know how I managed it, but I did not put two and two together. In the gym, like my hair started falling out. I was blacking out in the gym. Was doing a lot of skipping. So when I was skipping, I was actually my ankle would give way and then I couldn't walk on my ankle for a couple of weeks. Um, yeah, so I just kept getting all of these different things. I was getting memory loss as well. There's so many things. Like I remember being in the gym with my friend and actually couldn't see anything. My vision went completely black. I still was like, right, I have to just finish this set. I had some dumbbells in my hands. And then went and sat down because at the time I was doing a juice detox and went and sat down and my friend was just like, just eat these. She had like rice cakes and almond spread and stuff like that, almond butter. But yeah, so now I have not experienced any of that anymore. But yeah, so at the time, people still viewed me as this really healthy, amazing kind of person. And then what I did is I went onto a carb cycle plan after that, you know, eating every 2 hours. So it's like 6 meals a day. One day's high fat, next day was medium, and the next day was high carb. And my favorite days were always the high fat. And everyone else was like, really? Mine is always the high carb. I love the high carb. And I said, oh, I find it really hard to eat all of them carbs and how, you know, all that kind of stuff. I did kind of try and zhuzh it up and make it taste nice, but I just didn't enjoy the carbs, funny enough. And then I became pregnant. And for a little while after that, I had some kind of depression where, and not postnatal depression or anything like that, but it was just depression from some certain situations I had going on. And then one day I just thought, oh, I need to get back to the gym. And I stumbled across keto. I'd known about keto for some years when my cousin had brain cancer, but I didn't understand it back then. So I revisited keto diet anyway and thought, yeah, I'm going to do it. I think it was the magic pill. I watched the magic pill and I thought, oh, you know, that's a really good one. And it was really interesting about the children that were non-verbal and then they were
Crazy.
verbal, some of them within 3 days, which is absolutely amazing. And it was calming the children down as well, this diet. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. And I put myself and my family on the keto diet. And I did that for 6 months and it did really help my health. It made me feel much better. But I kept like hearing, you know, like when you're looking at keto stuff, then I was seeing stuff from Dr. Shawn Baker. I was thinking, this guy's absolutely insane. What is he talking about? Because at the time I was doing net carbs so that I could get the most amount of veg that I could. So my diet was really clean keto. It was literally just meat and veg. And then one day I thought, actually, I'm just going to try it, see if I can, and surely it's going to make me feel bad taking out the veg. And I think 3 days in, I was convinced. I was like, wow, I feel it was like the elevation in my health was amazing. Everything just felt so much better. I was like, it's like keto, but on steroids. It's like so much better. And I felt so good that I was like, yeah, this is my happy place. This is no going back. And so the first week I did the carnivore diet, I lost 7 pounds. And the second week I lost another 7 pounds. And then I didn't really weigh myself after that. But the first couple of months, I was really focused on eating liver because at the time I craved it and I really enjoyed eating it. And it got to a point, maybe like 2 or 3 months in, where I just started to really dislike it. And from then onwards, I haven't actually eaten liver since because I feel like my body needed those nutrients. And then my body was like, actually, you've had enough. You don't need any more. And that's why it kind of changed the way it tasted to me because I enjoyed it before and then I stopped enjoying it. And actually, someone cooked it for me and I said, oh, I can't eat it. I'm really sorry. I just don't like it. So it's funny how your body tells you what you need and what you don't need at the right times. And I'm a big fan of intuitive eating. And now, so in April, it'd be 5 years that I've been on the carnivore diet.
Wow.
It's
That's exactly when I started mine.
Oh, really? How funny.
April 5 years ago. Yeah, April 2019 was my first time.
How
Yeah,
funny. Oh,
yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny what you say about intuitive eating, and I totally agree. You just have to understand the parameters. Like if I'm on a carnivore diet and I'm eating intuitively, it's like one day salmon for whatever reason sounds amazing, and then all of a sudden, like the next day, salmon sounds disgusting. I don't want it for 6 months. Chicken will sound really good. I don't normally eat a ton of chicken, but sounds really good, and I'll have it. Liver, organs, same thing. If you turn me loose in a grocery store and said you could eat anything in this grocery store, just do it intuitively, I would intuitively eat all of the ice cream and all of the donuts and all the stuff that I got addicted to
Yeah.
before that was terrible. And so when people say intuitive eating, it's like, yes, if you understand how you can limit such things and know what is food and what is not food, then absolutely you should be very intuitive. And it's really hard as a coach to tell somebody like, oh, you should eat this much beef, you should eat this much chicken and protein and fat ratios. It's like I honestly don't know what your body's going to feel. So you just have to really kind of feel that out. It's such a good point.
Yeah. I mean, with the intuitive eating, it's funny because all of that other stuff you mentioned, I don't see that as food anymore. So it doesn't even enter into my mind that that could be food. You know, I might as well pick my phone up and eat it instead of that, because it's just not food to me. So when I feel like when people get a really good base of being on the carnivore diet for a while, their body knows what they need. And like in the morning, I might get up and I think, actually, I need a bit of fat. I need more salt. You know, I do salt to taste as well. Only drink water when I'm thirsty. I don't over drink water. I think that's a bad idea. Um, yeah, so everything is kind of tailored to what my body's asking for. And because I've got such a good base of giving my body what it needs, it asks for the right stuff. It asks for human foods and not all the junk and all the other stuff. I can have all of that around me, and it doesn't matter.